Well, to get to the heart of this latest crisis in Nigerian politics, I'm joined now in the studio by someone who's on the other side of the political divide, the techno-politician, as he's been described, Sonny Iroche, who's an investment banker and a ranking member of the opposition PDP, as well as a one-time governorship aspirant. He joins me now in the studio. Thank you very much indeed for coming in.
Thank you, Charles.
First of all, what's your reaction to this dramatic development from your point of view as a member of the opposition PDP, the party that the defectors have flocked to?
Well, it's just that the defectors, as you call them, have decided to come back home to where they belong originally, ab initio. This happened in 2014, where we saw a massive defection from the PDP to the APC. Let's put it this way, that PDP has come of age. We've learned from our mistakes. We've learned to dialogue with people within the party. There is no authoritarianism in PDP. It's an open party where people hear their views. And for those that have defected from the APC, they have their reasons, which has been discussed several times in the press. And we also realized that the group that left and named themselves the NPDP, which means the new PDP, had their grounds with their new party. And I do not think, I'm not aware that there was any avenue to discuss and level and make sure that our issues were discussed amicably as a family. A party, don't forget, as far as I'm concerned, is an institution. Every institution has one discipline, structure, and things must be built around the structure, not around personalities. When you lose the raison d'etre for why a party was created, or an institution or a company, you've lost it. There must be discipline, there must be structure, there must be control, there must be checks and balances, there must be legal, there must be audit.
Well, those were precisely the reasons why people felt that your party no longer deserved it to be in power.
Well, after the loss...
They thought that the party was rife with irresponsibility and corruption.
Well, let's now go to the general. The Nigerian political firmament has been fraught with all kinds of corruption, I must admit, and I think it's time for us to retune and try to rehabilitate the Nigerian politics back to the kind of politics we had in the early 60s.
And you think it's the APC, the PDP that can do that? Because, I mean, the argument basically is that the same people that we're seeing in the APC now moving back to the PDP, and as you correctly pointed out, are the same people who moved from the PDP to the APC. So who's going to make this change that you're talking about?
They must have compared the two parties to see, when you marry two wives, you find out which wife is a better option. It's a growing process. Politics in Nigeria, the Fourth Republic, is, let's say, 16, 17, less than 20 years old. If we recall, if the military did not truncate the Shagari regime in 1983, perhaps by this time we would have gone through all our feeding problems. And it's not yet Uhuru, we're not there yet. PDP is not perfect, no party is perfect. The whole of Africa, the ANC, African National Congress in South Africa, a longer democracy, still has its own problems. So let us allow democracy to thrive, let people make their mistakes, let us learn from our mistakes, and come up with a party that is people-centered, a party that is empathic and sympathetic to the suffering of the people. There's too much politics in Nigerian politics. I want to see more of economics, I want to see more of feel-good index for the people. It's too much politics about self. I want to be a senator, I want to be a governor. It's got to be at all costs. Right. No, we must look at the economic aspect of it. The feel-good index, the misery index in this country is too high. It's just too high. There's so much suffering. I don't know about you. Every day, some of us get texts and requests from over 10 people requesting for assistance, one assistance or the other. We can't continue like this. There's high unemployment. There is insecurity, the herdsman, farmers' violence. This has to stop.
Right, let's just get back to those developments around the defections,
Sure.
and what potential benefits there are in those defections for your party, the PDP. Do you think it betters your chances of success at the 2019 election?
Two ways. The pros is politics about numbers. The numbers will swell. The senators, governors, and members of House of Rep that are defected to PDP or that have defected to PDP, as I'm sure many more would to the run-up of a 2019 election, they come with their followers. They represent something. They're going to campaign. They're going to tell their people why PDP is the party of choice. And don't forget that PDP is not going it alone.
Right.
There are so many other parties that are coalescing with the PDP to form the next government. So don't just look at it as PDP. We are all aware that there's so many talks, there's so many negotiations going on right now as we speak, and PDP is not sitting on his oars to repeat the mistakes of the past. There are so many committees, there are so many think tanks that are going on. Looking at what happened to us in 2014, how can we ameliorate this situation? That is the point. Nothing is infallible. People make mistakes in everything, even in organizations. But the best thing about any institution is to look back at your mistakes, where you're coming from, and do not make the same mistake in the future.
Well, of course, you're not out of the woods yet. I mean, you may well be celebrating in terms of the number of people who've crossed over, but there is a potential legal challenge to those defections that appears to be brewing at the moment. That there are suggestions that the APC are planning to go to court, and that they are going to essentially question the legality of those defections. What is your reaction to that?
Precedents are always set. Constitutions and legal opinions, if you look at the UK, for instance, they don't have a written constitution. It is from habits when things happen.
Yes.
Okay?
Case law.
Case law, that's it. When those who are defecting today, when they defected to APC, it was welcome. There was no precedence in law court that said no, they should vacate their seats because they've defected to APC. There is a constitutional provision for that. Section 68, subsection 1G of the Federal Constitution, 1999 Constitution, states, I'll paraphrase, that if there's any division or crisis in any party, that members of such a party who feel aggrieved and uncomfortable in that party can move over to any party of their choice without losing their seats. So if I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a constitutional lawyer, I'm just a banker and turned politician, but an objective person. If they go to court, it is up to the court to interpret the Section 68 that I'm quoting. And we keep forgetting that there are three equally strong arms of government: the executive, the legislative arm, and the judiciary. And we have made the judiciary look so weak and so small. And luckily yesterday, when the Chief Justice of the Federation, Walter Onoge, when he opened the Court of Appeal in Calabar, he sounded as he was giving them the marching order that the judiciary must have its teeth. The judiciary must come out strong, because judiciary is the only arm of government that will prevent anarchy in this country. When the executive is on the throat of the legislative arm and legislative arm vice versa, there must be someone to interpret it, and that's the role of the judiciary.
Right, just listening to what you're saying and what you said previously around these defections, is the country seeing, in your assessment, a political crisis, or is this just manoeuvring before the upcoming election? Because you talked about the fact that a lot of these same people moved from the PDP to the APC ahead of the 2015 elections. They're doing the same thing again ahead of the 2019 elections. Is there a political crisis, or is this purely political manoeuvring, which Nigerians are used to seeing their politicians do?
One of the greatest injustice ever in Nigerian politics was the cancellation of June 12. We thought Nigeria was going to break. We thought Nigeria was going to go through atrophy, but we survived. This one, Peters, to no issue if you ask me. Politicians are coming back to their parties, they are realigning. I don't see any crisis in it. It is for PDP now to make good this seemingly good term in its fortune. Right. To make sure that there is a proper structure, that there's no injustice in any ramification. And if you listen to a tape that the late Mechama Sule recorded when he visited President Buhari, he said, justice. Justice will ameliorate a lot of things. If you are just to the man from Boko, from the man from Umuahia, the man from Calabar, the man from Ogoja, the man from the Canary, if you are just and seen and perceived to be just, you get it right. But injustice in one modicum of our society is injustice for all. Right. You might be a beneficiary of injustice, but what goes around comes around.
But of course, even though this is a blow for President Buhari, he still has the power of incumbency, doesn't he? And that gives him an edge over the PDP.
Incumbency without justice can only lead you thus far. But I'm happy that it appears as if the judiciary is having its strength back, or hopefully will be there to interpret the law. And the people also, and also don't forget that you have to be popular to be able to rig an election. If you think that being the incumbent, you control the lever of INEC or the security agencies. Right. No, the judiciary is there to give support to people. We are also aware that there have been governors and senators and parliamentarians who have been removed by the courts. But the unfortunate thing about that is it takes a sitting governor like 18 months to 2 years, or senators who have sat there for like 2 years before the courts remove them. But I'm appealing to the judiciary arm of government that they should please speed up and fast track electoral judgments. Mm-hmm. It can be done quickly, and people have succor. Of course, if someone is incumbent, they have the instrumentality of office. They can do as they wish, but one day they will come out and give account to people. And at the same time, we are fathers, we are parents. What legacy, what do we want to leave for our children? How do we want to go down in history? Is it as riggers of elections, or as people who use their incumbency to thwart the law? I am glad that the Abiola family and the Abiola electoral victory has been recognized several years after. Okay. So history will repeat itself. And where do you want to go down in history? We will come and go. Edifices will go down, buildings will break down, but where do we stand in the face of the law? Well, and most importantly, right. Charles, most importantly,
very briefly,
when you see your God, Muslim or Christian, judgment will come. What will you say to your God?
Okay, Sonny Iroche, the techno-politician who's also an investment banker and a ranking member of the opposition PDP. Thank you very much indeed.
You're welcome, Charles.
You're watching Nigeria, the road to 2019. Plenty more still ahead, including more of our discussion on the massive defections that have hit the ruling ABC party. We'll continue our assessment of how big a setback this is for President Buhari. Stay with us.